Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. I am AmalgamAsh, and today we are going to be taking a look at Hagon's crafting system plugin for RPG developer BAKIN. So to begin, the very first thing you need to do is go to hagons.itch.io, where you can see all of his extremely helpful and free scripts that he is sharing for RPG developer BAKIN, as well as a few things for Smile Game Builder. We've even got a game here, which I need to actually get back and do a full playthrough of Coveney Town. Alright, let's go find the crafting system plugin. Right now it's at the very top of the page. As of the time of recording of this video, it was $12 USD, but the price has been dropped to $9.99. The second thing to do is to download the zip file contained here. Now, the main page has a lot of instructions. They just go on and on. There's a lot of screenshots here as well, so you have a lot of helpful information. But if you really want to know what you're getting into, with this plugin, you can create items that have multiple parameters for you to choose from. A unique ID for each item that can be generated automatically, ingredients, a custom category, and a price. And you can see the icon of the item to create with its name, description, stats, resistances, recovery, and of course the necessary materials to create it. And you can edit the default layout here to fit your needs without deleting things and respecting the tags. And there are several configuration options, including a glossary to translate the system into your language. So basically, you have a lot of control over the appearance of all of this, and there's a lot of information here by default for you to take advantage of. So you have a fully fledged, full feature-complete crafting system at your fingertips. That is something that a lot of people, I think, will find very, very useful. So just scrolling down, we've got screenshots. We can kind of see what this will look like once we implement it. The screen or window that allows you to choose how many things you'd like to craft of each item. There's a lot of thought put into this. Here are the attributes, the increases and decreases that a given weapon might have, as well as the elemental resistances and strengths, and the materials needed to craft it. Price here, how many can be crafted, just all kinds of awesome information from the get-go. Very little reason to have to mess with it or add things of your own other than perhaps rearranging things to suit your UI or your layout, your preferred layout. Okay, so we've got our how to install instructions to follow. We're going to follow those to the letter and take a look and see what this is like in BAKIN. First of all, download and extract crafting-system.zip. We have a readme.txt with some helpful information related to Hagon's social media presence, and also a reminder to join the official RPG BAKIN Discord group. It's a very nice community. I do agree with that. And the terms of use. You may not sell this plugin under any circumstance. You can use this plugin in your commercial and non-commercial games, but you can't share the plugin itself with anyone, and you don't need to credit Hagon's, but he would appreciate it. The crafting layouts.rbr, that's a file that we can import into BAKIN, the editor, after we have it open, and a folder called script. We also have a Hagon's crafting plugin.dll. That didn't show up a second ago because I had already cut it and pasted it into the folder where it was supposed to go, but it does come with the crafting system, so that DLL is here as well. You have 4 things, not 3. So now, copy and paste Hagon's crafting plugin.dll in the BAKIN folder, Steam Apps Common BAKIN Plugins. Easy enough, I'll just cut that, and then right on my desktop, I actually have a shortcut to that folder. I have the same thing on my desktop for SGB so that I can get to the root folder and play with any common files that I want. But the full path is going to be, if you didn't change anything, the default path is C:/program files x86 Steam Apps Common and then BAKIN. And then while you're in here, you'll see the plugins folder. We'll double click on that and just paste it right in here. So your Hagon's crafting plugin will go with your effect editor plugin and your plugin sample, both DLL files. All right, next, place the script folder in your game project. So we're gonna right click on this script folder and cut it. And if you're unsure where your project folder is, you can just go to the top menu in BAKIN and hold your mouse over the project that you'd like to implement the crafting system in, and it'll actually tell you exactly where that is. In my case, it's in C, Users AmalgamAsh 4 Tutorials. And that's it. That's where I'm at. I'm going to paste that folder right here. I don't have a whole lot in here other than the default stuff. So I've got a backup folder, a map folder, a resources folder, which is abbreviated res, and a thumbnail folder. So now I have my script folder here as well. All right, next we're going to have to go into our project because we have to go to the layout editor now to import that last part. So I've opened my project and I'm just going to use my tutorial videos project and go straight to the layout tool. And once again, we're going to right click in the space where you normally see a layout and select load layouts from file, then search for craftinglayouts.rbr. That's the file that we downloaded. So to see this in action, let's go to BAKIN. Anywhere in this gray area, just right click, and then you'll get a little context menu that appears, and we're going to click load layouts from file. That's BAKIN's way of letting you import somebody else's layout to use in your project. And now you'll have to browse to the folder where you actually have that crafting layouts file, which is right here in the downloads folder for me in the crafting system subfolder, and just click open. All right, nothing seems to have changed, so I'll go back to the instructions, and after importing it, you may not be able to see the new layouts that are located in in-game effects, free layouts for events. If this is the case, you should go to another layout category like game over and go back to free layouts again. So if we go to the in-game effects folder, double click on that, and now we see the free layout for events item. Let's click on that, and you can see right here, the crafting HUD. Now, there we go. Now we can see it. There's a lot of stuff here, actually. A lot of stuff going on. Love that. Okay, now go to Functions and Expanded Features and Crafting System. You will see some first usage messages. Item IDs will be generated automatically. If you don't see the plugin in Expanded Features, save your project, close BAKIN completely, and open it again. Okay, this is a classic case of, just turn it off, turn it back on again. All right, Functions, Expanded Features, and there's the crafting system. And it even has its own little cute icon. Config file not found, a new one will be generated. Item IDs will be generated too, just click OK. Item IDs were successfully generated, click OK. Settings saved, click OK. Oh, here it is, the crafting plugin. This is the amazing stuff that you can do with the plugin feature that BAKIN supports. You can create your own custom window and have all of these things all to yourself that you can provide for your fellow game devs. So here's our functions: direct crafting, disable categories, hide unknown items, hide normal stats, hide dynamic stats, hide resistances. You can overwrite current IDs, clicking generate IDs. There are tooltips on everything. For BAKIN config, we have items to learn switch, custom category, and crafting switch. And these are the things that you can give different terms to, so you don't have to use the verbiage as it is here if you don't want. And then there's the glossary. Let's just hit save for now and then close that window. Go back to our instructions. Save your project, and that's it for the installation process. That wasn't too bad at all. That wasn't too bad. Few minutes. Attach the script to a common event. This is how to use the plugin now. This one might trip people up, so I'm gonna walk you through how to do this. So I'm clicking on common events. I'm gonna add a new common event, a custom event, fully customize yourself, and click OK. Now, here's our event window where we can make whatever event we want. Lower left-hand corner of the screen, you see C# program assignment. Let's click on that, and then you have the option to select craftingsystem.cs. Do that. Hit apply and OK. This is called event 3. I'm going to change its name to crafting, I guess. Now create some BAKIN variables and switches. Open crafting and execute learn. We need to create those variables, and then we need to create, those are actually switches, and then we need to create 2 string variables called custom category and items to learn. The plugin is going to need access to these switches and strings that already exist. I think I understand now the BAKIN config. These don't refer to terminology. These refer to the names of the switches and the string variables that you're going to be using. So you can change these to point to existing switches and string variables if you've already got those implemented in your project. So that's really well done, but let's go ahead and make those variables and switches as they are. And since I'm already in the event, I'm just going to go to the variable boxes tab in the command selector and just click on variable box assignment and calculation. And I'm going to create the switches and variables here. I'm just going to rename them to open crafting and execute learn. Go right into string variables, add 2 of them. And I need to name those custom category and items to learn. All right, so the crafting switch, whose default name is Open Crafting. Turn on the switch to open the crafting panel. So if you have, say, well, you know what? I'll just show you instead of talk about it. So I just placed a table on my map. I'm gonna right click and click Convert to Event, Custom Event. When the player talks, the switch will turn on. That's event switch on and off, and then we select the switch Open Crafting. Apply, OK. Next instruction, please. I use a table, but I mean, you should really use like an anvil or an alchemist pot or something of that nature. Next is the learn switch, default name execute learn. Turn on this switch to learn the items IDs stored in the items to learn string. String, text variables, items to learn, default name, items to learn. Store the item IDs separated by comma in this variable, and then turn on the learn switch to learn to craft those items. Custom category, default name, custom category. Assign a custom category to this string before turning on the crafting switch. So I think what this is going to help us do is have categories of items that we can craft so that we can create contextual elements of crafting, such as putting an anvil down to only be able to craft metal items, putting down a woodworking shop station to only be able to craft wood items, and a tailoring station for clothing, things like that. In the items to learn string variable, you'll just go ahead and put every single item ID that you want to be able to craft in your project. You'll separate each one by a comma, and then turn on the learn switch to learn to craft those items. This is going to make a lot more sense in context when we actually get to test playing. The next step, though, is creating a craftable item. In the item node tags, you can use the following tags to create a craftable item. So every item in your game already has a spot for management tags, and you can add things to these tags. I'm loath to compare it, but in the same way that you would use the notes section for your items in RPG Maker, for example, so that the plugin can read those tags specifically and use them as the tool that will cause them to work with your crafting system. So we'll go to our database, click on the Items tab, and now you will notice when you look down in your management tags that IDs have been generated for all of the default items in BAKIN. We've got weapons, we've got armor, and we've got consumables. And we've got a couple of things that don't have any category just yet. Like, for example, if we click on Magical Potion, that has an ID of 5, and it is tagged with consumables. So the first tag that we can add is craftable. This item can be crafted in the crafting panel. You want that to be in your tags for anything that you want your user to be able to craft. My light started going crazy, so I turned it off, so now I'm going to be dark. Price, you can set a price for the item. Mats, that's ID amount, etc. In other words, you're going to put the item ID of the material that you'd like to use to craft this item, and the amount. The ID, then a colon, then the amount. Then if there's more than one material that you would like to use to craft that item, more than one different material, say like a glass vial plus red juice in order to make a magic potion, some magic potion, you would put the ID for the glass bottle, and then a colon, and then the amount, which would be 1, then comma, then an ID for the red liquid item that you should already have in your game, and then a colon, and then the amount of that, so like 3. And then in your crafting plugin, the crafting system, you will see that you need 1 bottle and 3 liquid to make magical potion. You could go on and have a lot more materials to craft your items, though. Quick example, mats 1, 3, 4, 1. To craft this item, you'll need 3 items with ID 1 and 1 item with ID 4. Next is the category name. Set a custom category for the item. Example category kitchen. If you set custom category to kitchen, the crafting panel will list only items with the category kitchen. So this is a way to categorize all of the different items, just like I was talking about a little bit ago, where you've got all your blacksmithing items you can craft, all of your woodworking items you can craft, all of your alchemist items you can craft, all of your cooking items you can craft. You can keep those separated and set the category here for each one of the items and assign them to each one of those 4 categories, just for example. And then when you open the crafting system in the game, you can set which one of these categories you'd like the player to see. If you use the hide tag, the item will not be displayed when you use the default category. The item will only appear when custom category matches its category. So if you do set it up the way that I explained in my example, you would use the hide tag, because your default crafting system in that game, it just wouldn't exist. You'd have a very particular crafting system for every one of the things that you want to craft. Of course, if your crafting system is more like, say, Dragon Quest XI, where you've got a magic pot that can craft whatever you want whenever you go to your camping event, then you can approach that magic pot. Don't use categories on any of your tags, and just go ahead and have the crafting system call up everything that you know how to craft. Or you can use a mix. So if you have items that have categories, they won't show up by default if you don't assign a category when you open your crafting system. But then if you open your crafting system without a category, you'll be able to see all the stuff that doesn't have tags. So you can go ahead and have lots of items that don't have tags that your character will always be able to create, even if they don't know woodworking, blacksmithing, leatherworking, all of that. Really being able to understand this intuitively is going to rely on you having kind of a working knowledge of how a crafting system works in a game to begin with. So please do give that some consideration. Think about games where you use a crafting system. As it stands, this is, in my opinion, already seeming like it is fully featured. So this is really, really impressive, and honestly, the price is more than justifiable, but let's continue. Next in the instructions, we get a description of the plugin interface, which I went over briefly, but this actually explains the different parts of it. So under functions, we have direct crafting. If you put a check mark in this box, you'll turn that on, and that will create the item directly instead of opening a panel to select a quantity after you select that item. Now, I like quantities, so I would leave that off, but this is going to be, of course, project by project. Disable categories. When you use default categories, you'll only see the items category. This one is going to be very, very important to consider if you are using any of the crafting systems that I outlined earlier. Hide unknown items. Hide items that you don't know yet in the crafting list. If you haven't learned how to craft the item, hide it. This is useful if you are using a system where you learn recipes to craft items. I would use this because in my game project, I don't allow the player to know what they can craft until they have leveled up in that crafting class. Hide normal stats. That will hide the static statistics container, attack, defense, HP, MP, etc. Hide dynamic stats. That hides the dynamic stats container when seeing like weapon or armor. And hide resistances. That would hide resistances panel. So you wouldn't be able to see the negative and positive effects that it would have on the elemental attributes and things like that. So really useful to have these options so that you can have a variety of different crafting systems just by purchasing the one. And then finally, generate IDs. When you click on this, it will go through and generate item IDs automatically to all of the stuff that you've got. So you can come back to this plugin interface after you've built like 100 new items and have it go ahead and generate the IDs automatically, and that will save you all kinds of work. And if you would like to overwrite current IDs, it will start from the top and just write them all. But if you don't want to ruin any of your current crafting system work, if you've been dealing with this for a while, then you can just click the button without checking that box, and you'll only write IDs for items that don't have them. And then, of course, the glossary, which I didn't open, it does have the stats of everything and the verbiage terminology used to refer to all of those things. So if you want to translate this into your preferred language, you can enter this screen and change all of the labels. Now, do be aware that there are some things here that refer to variables, such as the $sign, which will refer to the price, or amount, or owned. The $sign in this situation does not refer strictly to currency. It is an escape code that helps the program know what variable it's pointing to. All right, and finally, we've got some layout information, and we have layout controls. If you want to change the appearance of the layout, you can refer to the instructions here. And then Hagons is open to suggestions for future updates. Now, there's nothing left to do except to go ahead and make this the starting point. Whoops, not that. Make this the starting point and test. All right, we're going to approach the table. It is blown out color-wise, I don't know why, and interact with it. And there we have it. We have the item crafting interface. Now, it's really important to know my resolution is crazy high, but you can see clearly that I couldn't craft any of the items. That's because I didn't set any items to craft up. So let's do that real quick. So we're going to go into our database, and here's our magical potion. And I'm going to change the tags down here at the bottom in order to make this a craftable item. All right, I think this will work out. I'm going to need to change the amount of mats, however. We need 3 of material 1 and 1 of material 4. Let's do medical herbs and potions. So ID 2 and ID 3 instead. So coming back down here, ID 2, we need 1 of those. And ID 3, we need 1 of those. Now I think that's good enough. I'm going to go ahead and grab an NPC, throw him right here, convert him to a custom event. The reason that I'm doing that is because I'm going to have this NPC give the player some items. Giving items is in the statuses tab, increase, decrease items. Medical herbs, we're going to go ahead and give them 4 of those. And then the potion, we're going to go ahead and give them 5 of those. Hit apply and OK. All right, I changed my runtime resolution in the execution engine definition. I'm going to do 1920 by 1080, and then I get the pop-up in BAKIN in the editor that asks if I want to generate layouts for the new resolution based on the layouts. I think there's more message to this, but we're not saying it's cut off. I'm going to go ahead and click yes, apply, OK, and I'm going to hit test play. And we're going to see what this looks like now. Okay, our crafting system actually looks great now. There's still no items to craft, but that's because I don't have the items. Let's go talk to this guy. He's given us a bunch of items. Can I craft my potion? No, what happened? I think we just go ahead and enter a 5 here, since that's the ID of the potion that I'd like to craft, right? And by the way, when it comes to changing string variables, you can replace the string entirely, or you can add things to the end. So you can have a string variable that starts off specifying which items you have learned, and then you can continue to add to it in events rather than replacing it every time. So you can actually add on to your character's known recipes throughout the course of your game. Love that. I love how that was implemented. Let's go ahead and try that out. Oh, but one thing I forgot to mention, if you do try that out, make sure you either put a comma after the last number in the sequence or put a comma before the first number in the sequence if you are adding to the end. That way you've always got commas separating your numbers. If the last number of your previous string was a 5, but there was no comma, and the first number of your next string was like an 8, for example, then you'd actually be adding item ID 58, and you'd be losing item ID 5 and 8. If this is confusing, just remember to put commas after every single number and you'll be fine. I've got it. I figured it out. I'm a genius. Actually, I asked Hagons. He was extremely fast to help me with this. But hopefully you won't have to ask him, because now you'll know too. So at your crafting station, you'll go ahead and set up which items you would like to learn to craft here, if you haven't already, or if this is the preferred method that you'd like to use to do it. Otherwise, you can use recipes to call common events that will add items to learn to your current repertoire. And here I'm just putting a 5, and that's the only item that I want to learn how to craft right now. Then you will execute learn. That is an event switch that you will turn on. Then we'll turn on the crafting system. Apply and OK. There we go. Finally. Magical potion, a drink that restores a lot of MP. It is quite sweet. Materials, medical herb and potion, and that's currently like pinked out, so I cannot craft this, which is absolutely what I wanted. We will leave that menu, and by the way, this is set up to where when you leave the menu, those switches that we turn on at the event turn back off, and we can just go back to the crafting table to turn the switches back on again. So this guy will give us our items. We can talk to him multiple times, go back to the crafting table. And now we can craft 8 of these. We own 0. They go for no money at all. We have 8 out of 1 medical herbs and 10 out of 1 potions to use. And I went ahead and selected it, and we can craft up to 8. So let's do that. And we've crafted 8. That's it. That is all there is to it. Crafting system works. I'm going to give you the short version of how this works in a separate video, a very short tutorial video that's more tailored towards the BAKIN series, one where there are no hiccups and nothing going on that would prevent me from showing you how to craft multiple items. But I will go ahead and touch on categories. So that's our crafting table, and it doesn't have a category attached to it at all. We'll keep it that way. That's the table of ambiguity. This will make a little bit more sense. We're going to put a kitchen right here. Convert that to an event. We're actually going to go ahead and edit the event script of the table and copy all of the things here. Just copy them. Hit OK. Come over here. Convert this to an event. It's going to be a custom event. Hit OK. And then just click in here, right click, and then paste. Go to panel view because I appreciate panel view. And we're going to go into the string variables after we add a variable box assignment and calculation event panel, and click custom category. Whoops, that's the wrong one. We need string variable, assigned to string variable. custom category, and we're going to call this one weapons. Apply OK. We're going to craft weapons at the kitchen. Don't worry about it. We're using the heat of the flames and the baking oven to temper our steel. Can you tell this video was not scripted? Yeah, I didn't think you could tell. So we're going to go to a knife item in the database and paste the craftable and materials tags. And the materials tag I need to actually change. So we don't have any ore, so I'm just going to use the spirit stone of earth. I'm actually going to go ahead and change that to, say, yellow ore. And the ID of that is 35. So I'm going to go back now to my knife, and under mats, I'm going to put 35, and then comma, and then 2 to indicate that we need 2 of these to make this weapon. Category is going to be weapons. Now I'm going to copy all 3 of those tags, go to the spirit sword and paste them. We need 4 of those materials, the yellow ores, to make the spirit sword. And then spike shield, we just need to go in here and we'll say we need 5 of those to craft that. I know it's armor, #armor, but this plugin works with the tags, which are prefixed by the $signs. So this will be just fine, and it will work with our crafting system. So that's ID 48, 0, and 1. Let's hit apply and OK. Edit the event script, and in items to learn, we're going to put 1, 48, and 0. And we'll make sure to put a comma at the end, although that will be fixed with the next update. The custom category is weapons. Everything else looks like it's correct, so this should work just by default, but I need to grab one more NPC. And instead of giving you medical herbs, he's going to give you yellow ore. He's going to give you 15 of these. Apply and OK, and then we're going to go test play. I'm thinking this should work perfectly. I really hope that it does, unless I need to go change something in the crafting interface. Have some items. Thank you. Click this, and indeed, we have access to 3 things now: the knife, the spirit sword, and the spike shield. If we go to the knife, it'll allow me to craft it, and then that's it. Done. And we're back to the interface. Spirit sword, I'd like to craft 2 of those. You can't carry 2, the spirit sword. Interesting. It will actually adhere to the rules of the item and how much you can carry. Awesome. So we'll go to the spike shield and we'll just craft 1 of those. It did craft 1. And now the spike shield is grayed out because we don't have enough ore to craft it. So this will automatically give you a visual indicator for the player to let them know what they can continue to craft and work on and what they cannot. All right. I think I'm good. I think I've actually learned how to use the plugin. At the time of recording, I've been sitting here for an hour and 12 minutes. Of course, this video is not going to be that long because I had a lot of silence periods in between, but now you get to enjoy the benefits of this crafting system without having to spend that much time, and hopefully far less questions than I had, so even less time. So as promised, I will make sure that I get a sort of truncated version of this video that has much better mapping, a better atmosphere to be crafting all of these different items in, and I will get that out to you in video form so that you can really learn how to implement this to its fullest right away by default, or refer to that video instead of this long drawn out explanation and exploration, sort of half tutorial. Anyway, thank you very much to Hagons, who supplied me with a copy of this plugin, and if you have any suggestions or recommendations for this at all, please feel free to comment on the itch.io page, linked in the description below, and let him know. He's very open to communication about this sort of thing. You can also just direct message him on Discord. I'm sure he won't mind. And go visit the BAKIN Discord server. Wow, that was great. Go visit the BAKIN Discord server if you need general support for BAKIN. We've got a lot of great people there who will help you out, including Hagons. All right, thank you for watching. Please let me know what you think in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video. If you like this video, please make sure to give it a like. If you liked it, like it. If you liked the video, then like it. Like the video if you liked it. If you watched this video, make sure that you, I don't know, man. Have a fantastic rest of your day. I will see you next time. Bye for now.